This man has a rather unusual habit. Every night before he goes to bed, he seals his bedroom door with tape. Then, he scatters a large amount of fine sand across the floor. Once in bed, he even chains his ankles with iron shackles. He does all this because, every time he wakes up, he finds himself in a completely unfamiliar place. As Jack was pondering this, he suddenly heard someone speaking to him.
Go back to sleep, worm.
Hello?
At that moment, Jack pulled a strange object from his pocket. It was a golden beetle. Suddenly, a huge figure appeared behind Jack, but when he turned around, there was nothing there. What was even more dangerous, though, was that two people on the ceiling suddenly aimed guns at Jack. Jack didn't understand what was going on, but the most important thing now was to escape with his life. When Jack finally made it to a small town, the two thugs who had been chasing him caught up. Seeing this, Jack quickly put on a hat and quietly blended into the crowd. Just as Jack thought he had shaken off the danger, he noticed something strange. The people on the street suddenly became extremely obsequious when they saw a man with long hair approaching. It turned out that George had a special ability. By simply touching someone's hands, he could tell if the person was good or bad. If the tattoo on his arm turned green, it meant the person was good. If it turned red, the person was bad and would immediately lose their life. This left Jack in shock. But just then, the very thugs who had been chasing Jack appeared in front of George. After hearing the thugs out, George stood up in anger and shouted something strange. Upon hearing it, everyone immediately knelt down. Only Jack was confused and didn't react. George quickly realized that Jack was the person he had been searching for. At that moment, everyone stood up and turned their furious gaze on Jack. George then demanded Jack hand over the beetle. For his own safety, Jack reluctantly decided to give it up. But suddenly, his body went out of his control. It seemed like a mysterious force was controlling him.
Take it. That's so strange. Sorry about that.
The force then began to pull Jack backward. Seeing this, George immediately ordered his men to stop Jack and forcibly take the beetle from him. At that moment, Jack suddenly lost consciousness. When he woke up again, he found that all of George's men were lying on the ground, and the beetle had reappeared in Jack's hand. At this point, George and his men were blocking Jack's path. Realizing the situation was dire, Jack turned around and fled. However, more people appeared behind him, blocking his way. In a panic, Jack quickly climbed into a van and drove away. Jack thought he had escaped the danger, but before he could catch his breath, a convoy appeared behind him, closing in. Soon, one of the vehicles blocked his path. Terrified, Jack immediately raised his hands in surrender. But then, a large amount of wood suddenly rolled down from the mountain. Just as the wood was about to crash into Jack, he suddenly woke up with a start. He tugged at the iron chain shackled to his ankle and then burst into laughter. Relieved, he thought that everything he had just experienced was just a dream. Jack then planned to head out and meet his girlfriend. But oddly enough, the elevator doors he stepped into opened automatically. That huge figure appeared again at the end of the hallway, quickly approaching Jack. In a moment of crisis, Jack woke up again, this time on a bus. He thought he was still dreaming, because that terrifying figure appeared outside the bus window. Jack felt his mind was in a complete haze, so he quickly got off the bus.